Dustin, so often we talk about professional development, coaching in a corporate or business setting, and it's not so much hard for the sales leader or C suite to get on board with the investment. Sometimes it's hard to get entire buy in from the team. Now, you may have half buy in, but sometimes there's a disconnect with people wanting to get on board. What do you find the issue is there?
Well, I think it really starts by getting really clear on what the problem is you're trying to solve. Because I think a lot of times as leaders, we think we know the problem, but we really haven't identified what really that root cause is. I think, but then the next piece is really just starting with buy-in is understanding, does your team see the same problem? Because if you see a problem and they don't agree or see that same problem, why would they want to solve for it? And I think so it's identifying your own problem, get consensus, and not unanimous consent necessarily, right? But consensus around the fact that yes, this is a problem. This is a problem that needs to solve. I think then it gets to what's in it for them, right? As anytime you're coaching, leading, developing a person, it's what's in it for them that is going to allow them to want to change behavior, because behavior change is hard. And then I think some of the other things is getting informal leaders and formal leaders bought into the concept prior to any sort of formal rollout, right? Because what it allows you to do is no matter what happens in any coaching, training, and development program is everything needs to be tweaked just a little bit for your own culture, your own team, your own circumstance. And it's a lot easier to do that if you already have some buy-in from some of those key people that other people look to. And then really the last piece is it's reinforce, 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 right? Because far too often these programs, they have all the excitement and sizzle as they're kicked off, and all of a sudden a month later you go back into the organization and nobody's talked about it, nobody's challenged themselves about it, nobody's changed, and there's really no reinforcement. And then guess what? All of a sudden 3 months later it's dead. It was just as if it never happened.
Yeah, for me, I think we've seen this firsthand where there are organizations that they get really comfortable underperforming. And if that's one of the reasons you're choosing to invest in a program like this, there's bound to be half or more of the folks on your team who might push back. And it's because they've gotten comfortable with getting by doing the minimum, right? And there is really the most expensive part of your team is when you've succumbed to mediocrity. And so the question I would ask is, have you fostered a culture of open and honest communication? Some people call that radical candor. But do they know that they're truly underperforming? Do they understand the greater purpose and the vision or the mission that you're after? Because while there might be a lack of sales or there might be some underperformance, sometimes it's there because your team doesn't understand the vision. They don't understand where they're going or where the organization is going. And so I think so often some of that just comes getting back to the basics is, are we communicating? Are we being honest about where we are at and where we need to get to? And then ultimately, is your team aligned on that? And if you haven't, getting back to asking questions and identifying what are the options we have to get to where we need to be. Because I think if you go through those steps and the things that you've talked about, you can get more of that. You can get more buy-in. And to me, it's to the point to where it's not just buy-in. You can get people excited about wanting to change and wanting to grow.